I convey our special gratitude to my brother and friend, the Governor of Osun State, for the warm reception accorded to all of us since we arrived here on Wednesday. We thank him particularly for all the arrangements he has made to ensure that this year's conference is successfully conducted. I thank you, Your Excellency. Let me also specially thank the Commissioner for Information of Osun State for his hard work and his colleagues in the Osun State Executive Council who have worked with us over a long period in planning this year's conference. They have done a lot of work, and as we came into Osun State, we saw that the arrangements have actually been put in place for a successful conference. I must also commend my sister, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Information, for her hard work in presiding and conducting the technical session of this conference. She's been here in the last 2 days working with technical teams from all the states and other agencies to ensure that the various papers and resolutions for this conference are prepared for today's final session. We thank you for your hard work, all of you, and also the directors and all those who have worked hard in the last months and particularly in the last 2 days to ensure that today's conference is successful. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year's conference is under the theme social media and indeed publicizing the activities of government. The theme was carefully selected because of the import of the new media today in enhancing the flawless communication between the people of the world and within nations. Your Excellency, over the last decades, the world has come to witness very momentous development in the growth of communication technology and the rise of the social media. When Professor McLuhan of the United States predicted in the last century that the world will one day become a global village, many people did not think of it. Today, we are witnessing the fulfillment of that prophecy. The invention of the satellite, the invention of the telephone, the invention of the computer, the invention of the microchip, all these have combined together to give the world a new face in communication. Formerly, news was defined as a story of an event that has taken place. Today, with advances in technologies, news is no longer something about what has happened. News, indeed, is not even something about what is happening now. News has become something that has been planned to happen, and the people of the world can be asked to follow before the event actually takes place. This is what is going on now. I can tell you that today, unlike in previous epochs, when you have a lunar eclipse, usually the world just sees it on the day it occurs. Today, you can watch those eclipses on television cameras and on your handsets as people focus on them before they occur and give you the exact moment before they really occur. So we're undergoing a comprehensive change in the way humanity converses among themselves. The import of this is that the traditional media, the newspapers, the radio and television, and indeed the wire service have completely now changed. Today they are under threat. With your handset, you can indeed communicate data and information to any part of the world almost instantaneously. The implication of this is that the majority of mankind, especially the younger people, now depend more on the social media, Facebook, websites, Twitter, YouTube, and other facilities of public information under the new media to access information, to disseminate information, rather than just the television, radio, magazines, and other forms of the traditional media. Now, the significance of the social media, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is far more participatory than the traditional media, which often meant dissemination of information, one channel from one point to another. Today, there is massive participation in the process of conceiving and disseminating information because of the arrival of the social media. Journalism is undergoing tremendous changes because suddenly, other than only those of you or those of us that have undergone training or orientation to be journalists, today even the major television stations, particularly the CNN and other network services, are now utilizing reports from amateurs from all over the world to report and televise events across the globe. So while you are waiting that you are the correspondent, you may be shocked that indeed your station has already contacted somebody with an iPad in a place where an event is taking place, and before you yourself will reach your newsroom, the story will already be on. These are the momentous changes that are occurring in journalism and public communication. Now, we have seen gradually that the social media have overtaken the traditional media in terms of the number of people involved. In view of this development, and also in view of the fact that younger people are now using the social media to network among themselves and indeed affect changes in the way their society is governed, as we saw in the election, in the first election of President Obama, where for the first time he networked the United States through the social media and aroused the youth to participate in an election campaign that was completely different from what we used to see in the United States. Also, in 2011, President Goodluck Jonathan became the first leader in the world to announce his own presidential ambition, definitely through Facebook. Now, we have seen since then that there has been a lot of tremendous growth in the social media. Our country was lagging behind because for a very long time, the infrastructure of communication was obstructed under the military. But since 2001, with the deregulation, particularly in the telecom sector, today we have had a tremendous growth, astronomical growth in the advances and use of social media in our country. For example, in 2001, Nigeria had about 450 analog telephone lines offered by NITEL. And for you to get a line, you've got to bribe somebody in NITEL, you've got to whisper to someone to help you. And even when you have the lines, for you to get the ringing tune was indeed a big challenge. Today, in a space of less than 12 years, Nigeria has grown its telephony from 450 analog lines to about 120 mobile lines across the country. This is indeed one of the fastest growth in telecom industry anywhere in the world. Now, the implication of this growth is that simultaneously with the growth in telephony, there has also been a growth in social media. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when the last time I checked, young Nigerians on the internet using the social media have now reached a population of 48 million. So there are now 48 million Nigerians that are online, that receive messages through the social media. Now 48 million Nigerians are almost the population of South Africa. This is where we are. So this is how fast the growth is taking place in our country. And because of this import, the President recently received a report to grow the broadband. Broadband has been a limiting factor. But right now, as I speak to you, we have commitments running into billions of dollars by private sector wishing to invest to develop broadband in our country to speed up the communication of data other than just voice. So in the next few years, our country is going to witness tremendous transformation, both in the telecoms as well as in the use of the internet, for massive communication of data between persons and persons, institutions and institutions, and between our country and the rest of the world. So in view of this development, it has become imperative that those of us who are in charge of public information management must begin to take advantage of the availability of the social media to advance the cause of public information, public communication among our people. Since I assumed duty in the Federal Ministry of Information, Your Excellency, I have decided that if Nigeria is to be in the league of those using social media, then the Ministry of Information must take the lead at the federal level. Let me announce to you that in the last 2 years, for the first time in the history of our country, the social media has taken the forefront in the Federal Ministry of Information in communicating the activities of government to the people of Nigeria and getting the feedback into planning and development process. Beginning with the 2012, we concluded the arrangement in Calabar to undertake a national good governance corps. We employed the social media. We have used 2 successful programs to test the efficacy and the impact of the social media. The first was the Ministerial Platform 2012 and the second edition of 2014. And then the ongoing National Good Governance Corps. Your Excellencies, there is no newspaper in Nigeria today that circulates up to 100,000 copies. But I can tell you that in 2012 and 2013, when we employed the social media to communicate the report back of federal ministers, which is part of our transformational program of accountability, we ran all the reports live on all the social media platforms. We stream them live on our website, we stream live on YouTube, we stream on Facebook, we carry everything on Twitter, and in the end, Your Excellency, at the height of the Ministerial Platform 2013, at a particular program, we were having up to 27 million people following us across the country and around the world. This is a record that the social media today have become the real prop for people-to-people communication, for government-to-people communication, and for people to communicate with their government. So the social media are so crucial. When we went on the National Good Governance Corps, and which is a continuing program, we also stream live programs from the field, programs by state government, projects by local government, projects by state and federal government. We stream them live on radio and television. And all the citizen platforms that were conducted in the 19 states and FCT were also live in all the social media platforms. So every state we went was placed instantaneously on all the platforms and the world will access. The states were followed and now documented around the world. Anybody could access those states, look at their sites, look at their projects, look at their programs. Today, because of the application of the social media, the federal government of Nigeria under President Goodluck Jonathan is the most documented in the history of our country. Everything you want to know about this government, including policy objectives of all the MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies, including all the achievements that have been recorded, including all the challenges we face, including all the targets we are working on. You all need to just go to YouTube, the ministry site, YouTube, the ministry's website. You will get it from any corner of the world. So you no longer need to go to Abuja. You don't need to go to a particular ministry, whether it's agriculture or solid minerals or any ministry. You can stay right in your bedroom or in your office or indeed in your car using your iPad or using your iPhone. You can access any of those information from the federal government. This is how far we have gone. And this is how it should be if our country is to be placed on the map. And why is information important? Information is important because Nigeria is in a hurry to develop. And this conference is taking place at a time of momentous changes in the way we approach development in Nigeria. I am not very competent to speak on the stage. The commissioners are here to speak on the efforts of their government. But I can tell you that at the federal level, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, under the transformation agenda of President Goodluck Jonathan, We have had the opportunity not only to change the direction of development, we have now transformed deficits, which we used to criticize, into opportunities for investments. In the period before now, where we had deficit, the state wants to fill in the gap. If we didn't have sufficient power plants, how many power plants government will build? And it was always the federal government. If we didn't have sufficient telephones, what would the federal government do about it? If we didn't have sufficient roads, what would the federal government do about it? If we are not manufacturing enough cement, what would the federal government do about it? Now, this idea that government will drive the development and sit at the driving seat has indeed retarded the growth and development of Nigeria. Taking advantage of what is happening in Southeast Asia, even in Europe, and particularly in China and Brazil, the federal government of Nigeria under President Goodluck Jonathan invented and worked on the transformation agenda. And what is the agenda about? The agenda says for Nigeria to develop, there must be 3 pillars: good governance, human capital development, infrastructure development, and the transformation of the economy. Now, speaking specifically on the economy, the program says, look, we have deficits in power because government has blocked the market. We have deficits in cement because government has blocked the market. We have deficits in telecom because government has blocked the market. So we now want to use those deficits through a creative application of policy under the transformation agenda to invite investment from all over the world. Now, as I report to you now, power is changing in a way that has never changed in the history of our country. Next week or so, we are going to commission one of the 7 new plants we have completed in Kogi State. 6 other plants will be commissioned between now and end of the year. Now, the 10 new power plants being built by the president are already going to the private sector. But the most important thing about this program is that today, through the privatization and the regulation of the power sector, Nigeria has received more than 79 companies around the world coming to invest to generate power and sell power in our country. So going forward, we are going to see power change the same way that telecom changed. So the success is not going to come from the effort of government. The success is going to come from the creative policy of the regulating and inviting private sector to look at power as a huge opportunity to make money. Just like telephony has happened. We apply the same system in cement. Today, Nigeria is now becoming an exporter for the first time of cement out of Nigeria. In the 70s, remember Cement Armada came to Nigeria. Now, in this decade onwards, Cement Armada will be leaving our ports to other parts of the world because of the creative application of these policies. And I tell you that this policy has reached gas. In power, in gas and energy, you recall that Dangote only last week announced the construction in Ondo State of Africa's largest refinery and petrochemical complex. Now, it is because of our creative policies. We are also building a complex at Ogidimba in Delta, which is already employing 100,000 people to construct a network of petrochemical companies, fertilizer plants in this country. The program is ongoing and investors are on ground and the groundbreaking has been done. Our gas master plan is the best in Africa today. So we are doing a lot of work. Today, as I speak to you, General Electric, which was always avoiding Nigeria, is beginning the construction of its first major plant in Africa, not in South Africa, not in Egypt, but here in Calabar, because of the policies of this administration. They are investing $1 billion to build turbines for the power industry in Nigeria. So, in other words, the transformation we are seeing in agriculture, in energy, in power supply, in the gas sector, is coming because the president believes we must use ideas to develop Nigeria. So every week we meet, every month the economic management team and the economic implementation team moves on to advance the course of development. And the impact is very, very, very complementary. For the first time, we are growing the economy at about 7%. It was never so since the end of the Gowon regime. This is the first time the Nigerian economy is growing at about between 6 and 7% consistently for about 3 years. In addition to this, in spite of the security challenges around the country, today we remain the #1 destination for foreign investments into Africa. You just imagine if there was no Boko Haram in the northeast, if there was no kidnapping, if these things not exist, I'm sure the Nigerian economy will be growing today at about 10%. Now, this is already going on. So, in spite of these challenges, we are growing the economy. So, we therefore believe that for this to be impacted upon the nation, the social media are very crucial. If citizens do not know, if citizens do not follow, then they cannot invest in the new economy under President Goodluck Jonathan. Last year, we received almost 22 billion of direct transfer of money from our citizens abroad. This year, we are working to change that transfer into investment. The Federal Ministry of Finance is already working on an investment portfolio which will enable Nigerians abroad to buy shares in companies in Nigeria. So you don't need to be here, whether you're in China, whether you're in Hong Kong, wherever you are around the world, you can invest in the economy. So if you take the combination of the money coming in from money transferred by our citizens and the direct foreign investment, in the next decade, Nigeria is going to grow very rapidly. So the media are very crucial for several reasons. We need to work on the image of Nigeria. The image of Nigeria is the responsibility of the Federal Ministry of Information, of all the 36 state commissioners of information, and of all public officers and private sector people. Every citizen has a responsibility to make Nigeria look better. Yes, I lead the process, but I alone can do nothing without your support. So the social media are important in projecting our image, and I believe if all our citizens key in, it is possible for us to tell a better story about Nigeria. Every country in the world has deficits. Every country. When a country today, I can decide to discuss only the negatives, and I will decide not to report anything positive in that country, and I will have enough story to publish. Any story, any country in the world, even the best of countries, when you go there and listen to their negatives, you will be sure that those things are taking place also in those countries. What happens is that the managers of public information in nations are work hard to balance between the negatives and the positives in projecting their nation. If you decide that you will not report anything good about Nigeria, you will only report violence, you will only report kidnapping, you will only report quarrels among politicians. That is the image of Nigeria that the world will know. They will not know of all the changes I've told you. They will not know of the growth in telecom. They will not know of the growth in gas sector. They will not know of the growth in cement. They will not know of the opportunities in Africa's largest market for investment. And if we do that, all of us will lose out. We are talking of millions of people unemployed today. I can tell you in every country in the world, apart from maybe communist countries like North Korea, the majority of citizens are not employed by government. They are employed by the private sector and the informal sector of the economy. Any country, count the civil servants in Nigeria, who are not up to 5% of the population, taking from federal government to the local government. So the majority of our people on the farm, they're in their little businesses. That is where the majority of mankind survive. And so for us in government, our duty is to create an enabling environment for these people to prosper, using their energy, using their resources, using their gifts. Now, if the media do not create that environment, if we only focus on the negative, if we only report the negatives of our country, the implication is that our country will not receive the support of the rest of the world. And our country also will not elicit the confidence of citizens to develop her. And that is why I appeal to all of us, the media. Please, I'm doing so not as Minister of Information. I'm doing so as a citizen of this country, but has a responsibility just as you and any other person. Can we please balance the negative with the good stories that are taking place? Even here in Osun State, there are good stories. We cannot report our country as if nothing is going on. And I know that there are many things going on in this country that deserve support. Some of them we have shown, some of them are going on in the state and local governments. So the idea of the social media, the telephone, the social media to connect and plan deadly attacks on citizens and on soft targets. Now, in other words, whereas you and I are thinking of the social media as a force for good, criminals are also thinking of it as a force for evil. What is the implication? The implication is that we must work hard to regulate, not by blocking the use of social media. I am an advocate of free media any day, and I will always work hard and advise my boss and all those in government to ensure that our media are free, because they are a national asset, they are a national power. But definitely the negatives we must confront. In every country, that is what happens. So we're already preparing a bill which is going to the National Assembly from the Ministry of Justice on cybercrime. And that bill is in conformity with the United Nations Convention and global best practices in dealing with the defects of social media. But for you and I, particularly at the state level, let us use social media more. I want to see a flawless communication between federal agencies and states using the social media. But we will deal with the negatives collectively. In the meantime, this year's conference, let us discuss how do we advance it, how do we train more people, how do we teach our people how to use the social media, what do we do among ourselves to use the social media for good. In several places, the new media are used for medicine. Many doctors from across the world can indeed, conduct treatment across hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. They are also used for education, e-learning, e-medicine, several e-governance. All of them are now here with us. So this year's conference, I believe, is very crucial for us to succeed in this area. Now, moving from here, speaking generally about other challenges we must face. You remember that in 2012, July, we had an emergency national conference in Abuja to discuss the threat of insecurity to the development of our country. In that specific conference, which was conducted between the ministry, the office of the National Security Advisor, and all other agencies, we agreed that terrorism was becoming a major threat to the development of our country. Since then, things have gone worse, because between then and now, developments, particularly in Borno and Yobe, reached a height where the terrorists were threatening to take over local government and put their flags. Where the Chad Basin was taken over, where camps had been established to disrupt governance in Borno, Yobe, and parts of Adamawa State. Now, on the 14th of May, the president was compelled to declare a state of emergency under Section 305 of the Constitution. Now, since the state of emergency was declared, the state government and the federal government, all security agencies have been working hard to deal with the situation, and a lot of successes have been recorded. Now, in spite of these successes, we know that the war against terror is not an easy war. We have studied the situation in Afghanistan, we have studied the situation in Pakistan, we have studied the situation in Algeria, and also in Yemen. What we see there are long-drawn fights with a deadly enemy that is international in orientation. We are not dealing just with an enemy that is homegrown. We are dealing with an enemy that has an international network, international trainers, international weapons, and they have a lot of money which they use to recruit new people and train them to blow up targets, including mostly human beings. Now, because of the international connectivity of the terror we face, we are expecting that the state of emergency will not give us an instantaneous result. Yet, it is already opening up Maiduguri for commerce. It is for the first time in 4 years, we had a double in Maiduguri this year. And we believe that several local governments are now returning, schools are reopening. But the enemy is moving to the rural area to continue to disrupt life and kill innocent people. As a result of that, the defense headquarters is already applying a method. They have now announced the establishment of the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army for the Northeast, which will now become a permanent structure that will unfold around the Northeast and take position for a permanent, sustainable struggle until we defeat the enemy in that part of the country and elsewhere. Now, for us to succeed, we need the cooperation of the media. I can tell you that since the state of emergency was established, we have received a lot of cooperation from the media, and we are very happy. We thank you for your cooperation. We thank you for your synergy. There are challenges, however. You will notice that there are social media platforms that have become a threat to the successful implementation of the state of emergency and security operations. In the last 3 months, we have had consistent complaints from the defense headquarters against sites like Sahara Reporters and Premium Times. In some of those sites, some of the stories they carry outrightly incite insurgents. They incite people against security agencies. The defense headquarters have continued to complain. Now we are making this public because it is very, very important that all of us, whether we are operating social media platform or we are operating in the regular media, we must key in to help in this war. This enemy knows no friend. has any sanctity against terror attack. I am appealing to everyone, every Nigerian, to use every instrument you have to support our security agencies to deliver on the promise of peace in the northern part of Nigeria. Without peace in the north, you cannot have peace anywhere. For example, Your Excellency will recall that some terror suspects have been arrested as far away in places as Lagos and Ogun already. When they flee from area of concentration, they can go to anywhere. You will notice that they cross from Somalia to strike targets in Kenya. So there is no place that is safe. And I'm appealing to all of us, please let us work hard and synergize. I want to mention one other instance that has worried us. Last week, there was an operation in Abuja, and it affected one of the cells of terror groups. What have we seen? We have seen both the regular, the traditional, and the social media come heavily against security agencies. There have been a lot of negative reports in the media about that operation, and we are worried. Let me tell you this: if you know the method adopted by these fellows to carry out the attack, you will be shocked. They use the most unsuspecting of persons and targets to harness information for their own destruction. And I can tell you that if you allow them, if security agencies do not follow them, they can come onto a place, come as any commoner, wait gradually, build up capacity, and then strike like they did in Kenya, in any city in Nigeria. That is why our duty must be to continue to support security agencies. I am not happy with the way we have reacted, where our security agencies should be commended. We have all rushed to the floor to attack them. Let me tell you, there are guys out there that are dying every day for you. Our soldiers, our policemen, our security operatives, our civil defense, and even our civilians in Borno and Yobe, who have taken it upon themselves to help security agencies. What we need is support and prayer for them. We must not do anything to show them that this nation is not behind them, or is not grateful for the sacrifices they are making for the safety of our people and our country. So I appeal to all the media, all politicians, please. We must keep politics out of this war. One thing I saw consistently is that even terror in the Northeast will not have reached where we are now if politicians were not playing politics with it. Each time that security people want to move, politics will take over. And we continue to delay action until they grew in strength. Now we're seeing the cost all over the north and the rest of the country. So we need absolute cooperation and collaboration of all stakeholders for the safety of our country and development of Nigeria. The other challenge that is coming is 2015 elections. You know, this conference is holding at a time that we're heading towards a major national election. What are the challenges? The challenges are clear for those of us in the media. First, we have the challenge of access. We must make the media accessible to all political stakeholders, all political platforms. That is what we require. In every major democracy, political platforms, whether they are the local government, state or federal level, or private media, we must open them up for all actors that are competing in the politics, so that the media will become the regulators of the national conversation. If we don't do this, the implication is that the best ideas that will lead to the election of the best people will be truncated. So we will continue to advocate access to the media by all political parties, no matter where they belong, whether they are government or private media, whether they are state, local government or federal. We need to open up our media for free exchange of ideas as we approach 2015. That has always been the philosophy that we espouse. And we call on all of us practitioners, please be open. The media do not have to be part of political parties. The media ought to be platform to ventilate views. Don't take strident and partisan stands. If you do that, you will be undermining the very democracy we fought so hard in the media to achieve. The second challenge for the media in this period, again, is absolute professionalism. We need to work together. We need to grow, and indeed, because of the partisan atmosphere, the challenge will be how you can balance politics with reporting development. Already development has suffered. In the last 3-4 years, we have been reporting more of negative politics, personalities, quarrels. We are not reporting effort by local government and state to develop their states. Everything is concentrated on politics. Politics, very important. Development, even more important if we are to grow. So I appeal to the media to please do everything possible. Please, can we stop the sharing? Stop the sharing until we finish. Stop it. Thank you. When we continue to emphasize those negative politics or raw argument between politicians, then development will suffer. So I'm appealing to the media again, let us utilize the advantage we have to make sure we report development side by side with the politics as it will come. We politicians are experts in condemning each other so that we will look good and other people will look bad because we want election. So you must read between the lines. The media must read between the lines. You are a force for good. Please don't join the fray. Make sure you become a platform for everyone in the politics. That is what is required for us to succeed as a nation. Finally, Your Excellency, I must say that this conference, which is holding in Osun, has been the most well attended in the last 3-4 years. All this shows that people are happy to be here in Osun. So Dogbeni, we want to appreciate you. You can see we have one of the largest attendance here. And it is clear, Osun is a destination for tourism. If you don't go to Osun Group, then you can go to Ife, the origin of humanity according to Yoruba mythology. So in other words, the world is supposed to have started a few kilometers from here, isn't it? So therefore, that is why maybe, but then we are historians. The truth of the matter is that our country is a beautiful country. Wherever you go in this country, you will love to be here. This is a country where there is no extreme weather. In some parts of Europe, we always go on holiday. You can't go for half of the year. You can only go during summer because of extreme cold. But in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, every season is good for the tourists. Every season is good for the visitor. And that is why I'm appealing to the media. Please let us celebrate our own. Let us celebrate our country. People want to come here. People want to invest here. The Chinese recently announced to use coal in Kogi to build 20,000 megawatts of electricity, 10,000 kilometers of transmission lines. They are coming. We are changing the railway story. It is coming. You are seeing the rail now move through Osogbo all the way to Kano. We are changing the story of the country. But we need to report our own. Please, every country is trying to look better. Even countries that have higher crime rate than Nigeria, they are trying to look better. How many of you go to Johannesburg all the time? If you go to Joburg and you see the crime rate, including assassinations, including robberies, it's far worse than Lagos. But the way we portray our country, we think we are the worst country in the world. We are not. If you go to New York, the most commercial city in the universe, the crime rate in New York, there is nothing you can do in Lagos to come if you are thought of it. But they don't present America as a country of crimes. They present America as a country of opportunity, as the best country in the world. Because this is our story. Nigeria is our story. Nigeria is our country. Report her, don't hide the negative, but report her positively so that the world will know who we are. We are a great country in sports, in medicine, in culture, in tourism, in science and technology. We are a country moving forward. We are a country moving forward. We are a new democracy fledging forward. Let the world know of our story. I thank you, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome.
I'm not sure the applause you gave is commensurate with the presentation.